How did she leave the house like that? But again, if y'all are married, there's no way that your wife loves and respects you, and she's not going to ask you for your opinion about an outfit that may be questionable. And I mean, well, I take that back. There is a way that can happen because if that's you guys' dynamic, she gets to wear what she want, and then the balance to that, she's offering you the balance to that and something else. I guess that will work. But my point is that if it's that big of a deal to you, how you let her leave the house without forcing your opinion? If that's the case, if you did voice your opinion, then what you're doing is really just retaliation, and it seems kind of petty. But I don't know. Let's keep going.
If he really wanted real say in her life, if he really wanted like his opinion to really count, he would have married her, bro. Like there's no way around that.
Welcome back to Money, Marriage, and Media. Today we are we're back with She Critique. You're single until you're married. Put a ring on it if you want the control. Now, recently this has been in celebrity news, the whole Keke Palmer thing, and the guy is complaining about the way she's dressed. My thoughts, I don't know if they're married or not. I don't think they are. If they're not, then the guy's wasting his breath. You have no authority over that woman. You have no. You can't hold her. This is a general statement. You can't hold women accountable. Like what reason do they have to listen to you? None. If you want to hold women accountable, you're gonna have to work out a deal, meaning that you have to have something that she wants. Most women say they want marriage, so therein lies the kick. You want to hold a woman accountable, you're gonna have to marry her, because that's the only way she's going to give authority over herself to you. Yeah, it's just the way it is. So I agree. I guess I agree with this statement because yeah, if you want to be able to hold a woman accountable, you're gonna have to marry her. Because otherwise, like I said, why should she listen to you? Especially when, well, you know what? Let's save that for later. Let's go.
With Miss Kiki Palmer. What in the world? What did you? Okay, so let's just handle one thing at a time. We're gonna do this briefly because it's just an icebreaker. The dress. I, for one, think it was a bit inappropriate. I don't want to see nobody's booty when I go out to the club. Whether it's Kiki, I mean, it looked nice or not. It was inappropriate for me, just in my taste. What do you guys think?
I do want to see your booty when I'm out at the club. I don't know what you talking about,
Well, that was
but
a concert.
it's hey, look, it's all good for me now. But what I want to say is, and I'm gonna make it real quick. First of all, dude knew Kiki for what 4 5 years. So you have 4 5 years to vet, 4 5 years to say to get to bend the knee and say, hey, will you marry me? He chose not to do that. Since he didn't do that, he still had a kid with her. Yo, bro, like how she act is how she act because you the fool that didn't wife her up, so you don't have an like.
Eh,
Honestly, my opinion is you don't have an opinion on the matter. If you have 4 or 5 years to make the decision to choose to marry her, and since you didn't, what do they say? You're single until you're married.
I said, okay, there it is. I agree 100% with the accountability partner. He damn that's almost word for word what I said. But I swear I haven't seen this. But yeah, I agree. Because like I said, why should that woman listen to you? You can't hold her accountable without her giving up the authority to do that. And why is she going to do that for you? She's not getting anything out of it. Now it's different because the person who is supposed to be holding her accountable is either her father or the patriarch in her family. Now today, we have a big issue because should women be held accountable for their actions? Absolutely. But not by you, not by a man that she's just dating, because it's supposed to be her father. or whoever the patriarch is in her family, whether it's a grandfather or an uncle or whatever. But because we've raised we've got to do a better job of raising our kids because we've raised them to be soldiers in the gender war. Now the women that are our daughters, our sisters, or whatever, they don't trust the men in the family. So now you get women who are going out in dresses where their butt is showing in public. We got to do a better job of raising our kids. Let's keep going, though.
So she moved like a single chick.
But is that even tasteful for a single chick?
No.
Hey, look, move how you want to move. Like, dude knew how she was. Like, to me, there's no real excuse. Like, you know how she is. Either you want to make her your wife or you don't. And if you don't want to make her your wife, don't plant your seed. Like, and so don't throw it back on her face when you have decided that is like she's not gonna be your wife. I understand the girlfriend boyfriend aspect, and that's kind of what people was getting hung up on. And I can agree when we're talking 4, 5, 6, 7 months in, but when you 5 years in, that's on you, bro.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, what I was gonna say is kind of to piggyback off of what AP said. I think the issue is you're expecting. I know I might get in trouble for this, but wifely respect when you haven't made her a wife. You want her to give you that husband respect where you can step in and say, do this or don't do that. But in reality, when I saw some of her old posts, she specifically stated that I'm I'm single until I'm married. And this was in, I think, 2021 when I saw that specific post. So in that regard, I kind of agree with AP in the fact that I don't think he has as much say so in what she wears or what she does outside of the fact of him being concerned with the fact that that is his baby's mother. And for me, that's where I see where the dress is inappropriate. She is in relationship with him, so I do think there is a level of discernment and respect that should come along with that. If she's claiming him as her man, and if she do know that that's something that he would have had.
Now, see, this is where I disagree with Miss Taken. It doesn't happen that often, but yeah, I disagree because, well, you know what? If she has stated that she wants marriage and he's not giving that to her, how long you gonna stay there? So, I mean, why? I'm still baffled as to why you want to have a kid with somebody who doesn't want to marry you. I don't understand that. But my thing about it is that how are you presenting yourself with that dress? Like, how are you wanting guys to see you? Because you wear the uniform of a, we're gonna hit play.
Had an issue with. Just for me, being in relationship, I would have respected that personally. But outside of him, just thinking about the fact that she does have a kid, and later on, I wouldn't want anybody to be able to be like, I saw your mama's butt, like that kind of stuff. So that is something that she should take into consideration with that. Not saying that she, didn't wear the dress well, but I just don't think it was appropriate for where she is at this stage in her life. That's just my opinion.
I don't think it's appropriate no matter what stage you are in your life. It makes no sense. Now, some people could be somewhat fine with the way that it shows in the front. I mean, hey, listen, some people will be like, hey, that's a little much for me, but, most people can tolerate it because we won't say that she didn't look good. But the second she made that turn, and it turned 180, and I was like, wait a minute. That's when it went from questionable to you done lost your mind. That's ridiculous. And I also think it's ridiculous that just because he not her husband, right? I don't think it's a very valid argument that when you are dating a woman, you're responsible no matter what point you with this woman to protect her in some way, to provide for her in some way, to provide some sort of utility as far as being able to help and make reasonable decisions so that you can move on to whatever decision that y'all trying to make. I don't think it makes any reasonable sense with the way that women operate naturally. That women typically get majority of the benefits.
Yeah, but here's the problem with what he's saying though, is that um, if we're just dating, that's easy to get out of. So yeah, you're responsible for those things, but what happens if you don't do them? If you decide to up and leave, right? There's no consequences for it. So it's not like at that point, it's not even a requirement. It's just, well, I'm just doing it because I feel like. See that, and that's the problem there. That's why women value marriage, because it's long-term commitment. It's long-term provision and protection. But if you're not offering that, if what you're offering, because essentially what you're saying is that, especially if you know she wants to be married, you're basically just stringing her along. So then it's like, that's why I say you can't hold women accountable, because all y'all doing is going back and forth, tit for tat. Well, I want marriage. Well, I don't think so. Well, you should dress like I want you to dress. But then, she's saying, well, you can't control me. I mean, how many times have we had this argument? Again, if we raise our kids to be soldiers in the gender war, and they basically caught up in the gender war where they fear each other and they don't trust each other, how are you building anything? What it boils down to is that how much time are you wasting? And now you done brought a kid into it. Let's keep going.
Before they get married, it's just that the legal benefits kick in once they get married. He's willing to protect you more times than not, even if y'all not married. He's willing to pay for you and pay for some things, that financial life, before you're married.
I don't think he had a job though, right? Because I read that he was unemployed.
We not talking about him specifically. I'm just talking about the argument. Because whether he had a job or not, she saw fit to have a child with this dude.
Okay, and so go ahead. I'm sorry, because I have ADD. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I feel you. But to me, it's just nonsense to say that just because he's not your husband does not mean that you can't tell her what to do. You can tell her what to do, but she grown.
So you're saying that baby daddies have power even when they're not in the household?
I'm not even saying baby daddies have power. I'm saying that if that is your man, right, and you want him to be responsible for you, protect you, and do some things for you, i.e. pay for stuff or help you in your life, add to your life, he has some say so. Now, granted, you can reject that, whatever he want to give you, because you're grown, because obviously a lot of women are rejecting men they're even married to. So to me, I think it's a dumb argument for you to sit here and say that just because you're not married to him, you can't tell him, he can't tell you what to do. I think
but when he knows who she is, like, I'm sorry to cut you off, Shan, but when he knows who she is, this wasn't a surprise to him. He knew exactly the kind of woman that she was, and he has had 5 years to make the decision if he wanted to accept her for who she is or not accept her for who she is. And then he comes out in a very public way to denounce her actions or her dress or whatever the hell he denounced, knowing who she is. A, he is wrong for that, and B,
it makes you wonder if what's the guy's name? Is it Darius? I don't know. I can't remember. I didn't pay too much attention to this stuff. Celebrity news is not in my wheelhouse. It just so happens that they're talking about it on the panel, so I'm gonna give it a shot. Because personal opinion, these people are not gonna affect my life. Like, they're not coming to where I live at to help me, to help raise my daughters. Or, they're not coming on a panel with me. We're not creating content together where we talk about relationships and building a community or any of that stuff. So, I have very little, I'm not vested in this stuff like that. It's every now and then, I guess it's fun to chime in on. I guess maybe I have to start covering it because, that's what gets clicks and views right now. And you got to start finding a way to tie this stuff together. But ultimately, again, I'm still stuck on the point of it, say, okay, how do you hold her accountable if she's not going to get anything in return? Yeah, protection and provision right now, but well, this dude in particular, it's almost like he made those posts to try and cover himself because he didn't want people talking bad about him. You see what your girl wearing? She all over Usher. Bro, I thought you was the man. When in reality is that you need to stop letting other outside influences. Well, you know what? They're not even married. So, man, what I would say, if he was a husband, I would say, number one, you shouldn't be talking about that stuff in the public forum, because what you did was open up your marriage to a whole bunch of other. You opened your marriage up to social media, and that's just bad business. Number two, how did she leave the house like that? But again, if y'all are married, there's no way that your wife loves and respects you, and she's not going to ask you for your opinion about an outfit that may be questionable. And I'll take that back. There is a way that can happen, because if that's you guys' dynamic, she gets to wear what she wants, and then the balance to that, she's offering you the balance to that in something else. I guess that would work. But my point is that if it's that big of a deal to you, how you let her leave the house without forcing your opinion? If that's the case, if you did voice your opinion, then what you're doing is really just retaliation. And it seems kind of petty, but I don't know. Let's keep going.
If he really wanted real say in her life, if he really wanted his opinion to really count, he would have married her, bro. There's no way around that.
Real fast. Give me. Oh, Lewis, I know you haven't talked yet, but I just wanted to put this, and I'm gonna let you go, okay? So, are we saying now that boyfriends should have husband rights? Because if that's listen what I'm saying. If that is the situation, there are several men who will have a lot of rights to your woman before she becomes your woman.
So a right is different than having a say so, because the thing is listen, if she has slept with another dude that she is strongly influenced by, listen, that other dude already got her. You know what I'm saying? She's on borrowed time. But I'm talking.
You see Shan's face? I'm having the same face. What are we talking about here? If she sleeps with another, where? Maybe I just need to shut up and press play.
Talking specifically, men are taught and are trained, even by women, that we need to provide things out the gate that a lot of women would consider is husband stuff. We're willing to provide for some things. We're willing to be responsible for you.
Provide
paying
for what?
For dates. Sometimes people will pay for your bills without marrying you. Brothers will do stuff like that.
How often is that, though?
But I'm just saying, we're willing to give a lot.
It's not.
And that's pretty often, actually.
Nothing.
Well, what I'm saying to you is, I think that it's safe to say, even in that situation, that's a case by case situation. Listen, what I'm saying to you is, what you may do if he doesn't have a job and she's making the money maker, we can safely say that that's not going on. Okay, so is it safe to say we can't? The one thing about us, we don't know what their relationship entails. Just because I have never had a man just come, a boyfriend, say, "Oh, I'm gonna pay all of your bills." Now they may pay one, but they ain't paying all, and not living in a separate household. If we're sitting here saying the average person only makes $47,000, you're saying the average person can handle 2 households?
I'm not saying that 2 people are. See, I'm not saying that he's paying for. Most men are paying for all things, right? What I'm saying is he has to provide a level of something, whether it's something that you desire. Like, say, for instance, if you want to go out more, right? Or you want to be taught certain things, or you want help with making certain decisions or doing certain things. Like, there are a lot of brothers that provide these things without you being married to them. And oftentimes, and that's the reason why also a lot of guys are friend zone, because they give a lot of qualities to women that.
Okay, so his argument is that relationships are about balance, and the guy is offering up things so he should get something in return, which does make sense. However, the this argument makes more sense when marriage is involved, not just dating, because these things have to be talked about up front. That's the whole. But again, I say dating is dumb, right? And this is this is a prime example of it, because within a marriage, you would be discussing before you get married. These are the things that you would talk about during the courting phase as to how your life is going to go once the honeymoon is over. Right. So to just do these things in dating don't do it. Just don't. You guys need to have the conversation as to how that's going to go first. And see, a lot of guys mess up. And what he's talking about with guys in the friend zone is guys that are trying to do these things, but then there's no reciprocation there. And it's usually because you didn't talk about those. You didn't set the boundaries in the first place. You just did it without asking. And then you're hoping down the line at some point she reciprocates, which rarely happens because, women are inherently selfish. So unless you're going to provide, unless they're going to get something, unless you're the guy that she's looking for, you're not going to get anything in return. And you need to figure out if you're that guy before you start investing your meat, your money, energy, attention, and time. Yeah, I'm gonna stand by that. You may have to invest some other things initially, but I would say you don't need to do all four. So you may just initially be investing time, and you're going to use that as a way of figuring out if she is actually interested in you as much as you are in her, so that there is some reciprocation for the qualities and the things that you're offering.
Will just take from them, and then these women will just keep it moving. But listen, I agree with AP. Listen, this woman has shown who she was for years, and it's his fault for sure. I'm talking just specifically about the argument that you can't tell her nothing just because you were her husband.
Well, he didn't. I don't think that's unfair to say, because we don't know what the rebuttal was.
No. I'm just talking about the argument. I'm not talking about.
We don't know, but there was no argument. So she did something obviously without him knowing. So he responded.
I think he's talking about the premise of the argument that I laid out.
Your argument, okay?
Yeah, usually when I say argument, it's not. I'm not saying we fussing. What I'm saying is it's your statement, your claim, your idea, or the notion. That's what I'm talking about. But the argument that people have said, well, he should have married her if he wanted say in her life. But when you ask these men and you ask these women, he still got limited say, even though that's his husband. That's her husband. I'm telling you.
That's not her husband, though, right?
No, I'm not talking about specifically in this case.
We're talking about this particular, because we know husband.
Okay, so Harrison is making some general arguments, and it's really under a false pretense. Why do I say that? Because, again, relationships are about balance. And what we're talking about here is that we're going to admit that on one hand, but on the other hand, we're going to say, well, no, you should still get this and he should still be able to say this. But you don't know what the balance is. See, what if the balance is because of if the balance is in the relationship is that she gets to wear whatever she wants and doesn't get to say, and he can't say anything. I mean, it sounds crazy, right? But that could be the balance in their relationship, because because maybe that's because, he's not working. Okay, well, because you're not working, I'm still with you. I'm going to have your child, but I get to wear whatever I want, whenever I want. Most guys are not going to sign up for that. But again, most guys are working, have a job, some kind of income. So, I mean, it could go either way. We're about to wrap this up.
Husbands have.
But even in this case, if he had a child with you, you mean to tell me the guy that you got a child with ain't got no say?
So in that case, and we're gonna get to that, because then that means that
We see that a lot.
that means that when another man takes over your household, that man still has a say, because you can't say in one hand he has say and in another one he's just forgiving his say.
Yeah, this was all over the place. At the end of the day, I still believe what I said in the very beginning. Relationships are about balance. Okay? So if your woman, whether she's your well, we're gonna speak on marriage because I'm pro marriage. If your wife wants to wear outfits like that, okay, then you should be getting something in return. What's the payout on that? And then you have to be because you did marry her. So yeah. You're saying that you're okay with that, whatever the payout is. I don't know. Maybe it's maybe I don't know. I'm not gonna try and figure it out either, because that's their relationship. If it's working, then we can't really knock it. Although it's questionable because they're not married. So again, what's the point? Where are they going? Just to have another child out of wedlock, even though statistically we already know what that says. But ultimately, I don't get what I still believe. My original statement is that you can't. The only way you're gonna hold a woman accountable is you got to put a ring on her finger. Because before you do that, she's under the protection of somebody else. Now, again, this is why I'm just restating what I said in the beginning, guys. I mean, because I still believe it. A lot of times what happens is that our women are not under anyone's protection because there's no father in their lives. And then because of the gender war, they don't recognize the patriarch in their family as having authority over them. So we got to do a better job of raising our kids. And I say that a lot, don't I? Well, because it's true. But at the end of the day, that's just where we're at. So if you're going to stick it out with her for 5 years and y'all got a kid together, I don't know why you wanted to have a child with a woman who you can't hold accountable. I mean, yeah, I don't get that. So I wouldn't advise any man to do that, because you put yourself in a predicament. So, yeah, we're just going to leave it there. Namaste goes to the next time. Peace.